We've been covering the dangerous and bizarre effort by Democrats across the country to try to help the most extreme Republican candidates win their GOP primary races. It's happened in a number of states, but the best example might be Pennsylvania, where Democrats spent nearly $1 million to support Doug Mastriano in the GOP primary because they thought he would be easier for the Democratic nominee and current state attorney general, Josh Shapiro, to beat in the general election. And at least the first part worked. Mastriano won the primary. But now, lo and behold, Mastriano is closing in on Shapiro in the polls. And Democrats are starting to worry or maybe even freak out that this strategy may have seriously backfired. A recent Politico article titled "Democrats Boosted a MAGA-Loving Long Shot in the PA Gov's Race. Now he's got a real shot at winning." So Democrats helped the far-right candidate win the Republican nomination over the more moderate Republican, Lou Barletta, because they were convinced Mastriano would be easier to beat in the general election. But according to the most recent poll, Josh Shapiro is clinging to just a 3-point lead over Mastriano. And with inflation soaring and gas prices still near record highs, at least one Republican Party leader is optimistic about the race, telling Politico, quote, "The higher the gas prices go, the more electable Mastriano is. And honestly, I feel this is Mastriano's campaign to lose." Doug Mastriano has been portrayed as a far-right election-denying MAGA candidate who personally chartered buses to the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. According to Politico, showed up to the Capitol and crossed barricades on that day. He's pledged to force every single voter in the state to re-enroll, which, by the way, federal law prohibits, and also bragged that he could, quote, decertify every voting machine in the state with a stroke of his pen. On MSNBC, when asked about the Mastriano campaign's flirtation with a notoriously anti-Semitic social media platform, his opponent, Shapiro, said this.
Doug Mastriano never contradicts that. He never speaks up and says those anti-Semitic or racist or alt-right extremist posts have no place in his campaign. Instead, he's embracing them. He's bringing them into his campaign. He is dangerous. He is extreme, and he must be defeated.
Except his party, in this campaign, helped this dangerous and extreme candidate win the primary. And by the way, not only did MSNBC's Nicole Wallace ask Shapiro if he had any regret, she didn't ask if he had any regret in helping this, quote, cancer get so close to becoming governor. That's, I guess, not that surprising that she didn't ask that. As I've said before, I get the political strategy at play here. But first, you better be sure it'll work. Because now it also exposes these Democrats as total hypocrites, hyperventilating about how MAGA candidates are existential threats to the country, and yet they actively help put them one step closer to office. There's an old saying that if you shoot the king, you better kill him. And in this case, if you support the man to become the king, you better love him. Joining me now is Pennsylvania Democratic strategist Joe Corrigan. Joe, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it. All right, tell me, what do you think I'm getting wrong here?
Well, thanks for having me, Dan. Well, first off, I got to tell you straight off the bat that there's no regret here. Doug Mastriano is the embodiment of Trump republicanism and frankly, what the Republican Party has become, since I was a kid and especially over the past 10 years. So I just want to say off the bat that what we have is a villain, and what we have is someone who can and must be beaten in November.
So if Mastriano, but let me follow up on that because I know you're going to make another point. But so if Mastriano wins, no regrets, right? You guys supported Mastriano in the GOP primary, and so be it. He wins, and the evil man who Democrats are saying is the worst thing to ever happen to America becomes governor, and that's no regrets.
Well, look, I have to disagree and somewhat I have to disagree with the premise of the question, because I think that Doug Mastriano was going to win the Republican primary to begin with. Doug Mastriano has about 20 Facebook pages with tens or, hundreds of thousands of followers, and they were going to win this campaign with TV or not. I truly believe that all the Democrats did here was put into the daylight the stakes at play just earlier than we normally do.
Well, when you say they put in the stakes at play, the ads were primarily sort of boosting Mastriano, right, as the kind of candidate that the GOP would want to elect. I mean, to say, oh, well, it's not really our fault, even though we put $1 million into it, and we have no regrets, it's a little hard to reconcile all that.
Well, not really. I mean, what I'd say is that Donald Trump lost this state by, let's say 100,000 votes, maybe 80,000 votes in this past 2020 election. So any Republican who was nominated in this year in a midterm election with a Democratic president was going to come this close. It was always going to be this close of a race. The easier thing about Doug Mastriano is that it is much easier to define the stakes of the election. He has not been quiet about where he stands on choice, and that's actually what all the ads have been about. I live in the Philadelphia media market. That's what the ads have been about. They've been about the repeal of Roe v. Wade and his, just radical position, extreme position on banning abortion in Pennsylvania. And frankly, Doug Mastriano has said a lot of things that are racist and anti-Semitic, and he's owned them, and he's attacked democracy. I think that we've set him up, and frankly, we've used his own words, actions to set him up.
You think it's going to work. I get it. You think it's going to work and that you guys are going to win. But I guess my point is, when I'm looking at the election being, or at least the polls being this close, and you guys put money against the candidate, the more moderate Republican he was running against, Lou Barletta. I mean, you put it for Mastriano, which is against Barletta. That will inevitably, according to you, not lead to regrets if Mastriano wins. Take a final word on it.
Sure. I mean, the thing I have to push back on is that Lou Barletta is any more moderate or any less conservative than Doug Mastriano. The entire Republican Party has become a party of fealty to Donald Trump. And so it really doesn't matter. He really wasn't. I mean, all these folks, Lou Barletta was a xenophobe far before Donald Trump became president.
Okay.
I mean, he just sounds more normal.
Okay. Well, I get it. You don't like either of them. But the point remains the same, that I find this whole strategy of putting money behind candidates because they're the most extreme to be so risky. And look, if you end up being right and Shapiro destroys Mastriano in the general election, Democrats can do a victory lap, right? Until then, I'm going to speculate when I look at polls about whether this is a really dumb and dangerous move. But I guess the proof will be in the pudding when the election happens. Joe, thanks a lot for taking the time to talk. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.